Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, let's dive into this. You've sent over a really interesting, actually fascinating collection of stuff all about Val Kilmer's career. It seems like you're really looking to get a good grasp on just how much he's done. Across film and television, we've got a pretty detailed list of all his movie roles, some TV appearances, and even those search terms you included. Those are really helpful. They give us a sense of what you find most interesting about him, like his most iconic characters, and even, his health journey.
Yeah.
So basically, our mission here is to go through all of this and really pull out what's most important about Val Kilmer's career, what stands out, what's essential. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what jumps out at me right away is the range. Like, it's not just a long list of credits. It's journey through all these different genres and characters, comedies, dramas, action, sci-fi. He's done it all. It suggests someone who's really driven to explore all these different facets of acting.
Totally. So let's rewind back to the beginning, the 80s. It looks like his first role was in Top Secret back in 1984. He played Nick Rivers. Mm-hmm. Now, for anyone who hasn't seen this one, it's a totally wild comedy spoofing spy movies and musicals.
Yeah.
It's really something else.
Yeah.
You talk about starting your career with a bang. He was clearly not afraid to just go all out and be funny.
It's interesting that he started with a broad comedy performance like that. It sets a foundation of versatility right from the start, which might surprise people who mostly know him from those more serious roles later on. It makes you think about how that early experience maybe shaped his willingness to take on such a diverse body of work.
Yeah, and then just a year later, in 1985, there's Real Genius. He played Chris Knight. This one sort of became a cult classic over time.
Right.
It had this really dedicated fan base. He plays this super bright, kind of mischievous physics student. It's a different energy from the straight-up silliness of Top Secret, more like a charming kind of intellectual rebellion.
Absolutely. With Chris Knight, he really tapped into a different type of charisma. It's that sharp wit mixed with this, anti-establishment vibe. It's not just making people laugh. He's actually embodying this brilliant mind that's not afraid to challenge the rules. And you actually see that kind of rebellious intelligence pop up in some of his later roles, too.
And then 1986, a big year, for sure. Mm-hmm. One of his most recognizable roles, LT, Tom, Iceman Kazansky in Top Gun. This movie was huge culturally.
Yeah.
It defined the 80s in a way. And Iceman is such a memorable character.
Right.
That cool, collected, almost arrogant rival to Maverick. And honestly, the number of times Top Gun and Iceman come up in your search terms, it tells us this role is still really important to you.
Yeah, the whole dynamic between Iceman and Maverick, it's the heart of that film. What's great about Kilmer's performance is how subtly he shows Iceman's respect for Maverick growing underneath that initial rivalry. He embodies this really disciplined, strategic way of flying, which is such a contrast to Cruise's impulsive style. It's a really interesting look at different ways of achieving excellence.
So moving on to the late 80s and early 90s, we see him continuing to branch out, taking on different genres. In 1988, he plays Mad Mardigan in Willow, which is this fantasy adventure film. Talk about a change of pace from fighter jets and geniuses. Now he's a swashbuckling mercenary.
Willow really highlights his ability to embody a more classic, heroic action type of role. And within this fantasy setting, too, it really broadened his appeal, showed he was comfortable in these different cinematic worlds. It makes you wonder about his acting process. How do you go from one extreme to the other so convincingly?
Okay, but then 1991. It seems like this is a big one for you. Based on your search terms, The Doors, where he played Jim Morrison. It wasn't just playing a character. It felt like he became Morrison. The dedication he had to that role is legendary.
Oh, yeah. The Doors movie, Jim Morrison, Val Kilmer, Jim Morrison. Those searches tell the story. His performance went way beyond just imitation. It was like he dove deep into the psyche of this complex icon. There are all these stories about how he went to extreme lengths to understand Morrison, even living as him when he wasn't filming. What about his performance stood out to you most? Was it the physical transformation? The voice? Something else?
For me, it was how he captured that almost shamanistic stage presence.
Yeah.
And at the same time, the vulnerability of Morrison's poetry, it felt like more than just acting, All right, so moving into the mid-90s, he's in another string of major movies, again showing off his versatility. 1993 brings us Tombstone. And wow, the amount of interest in Tombstone, Doc Holliday in your searches tells us this is a big deal. His performance as Doc Holliday was just unforgettable.
Yeah, it really is. What's so remarkable about his Doc Holliday is how he brought this legendary figure to life with so much depth and complexity. He wasn't just the gunslinger. He was this cultured, educated man facing death with a mixture of defiance and this dark humor. Lines like, "I'm your Huckleberry," they've become so iconic, and it's largely due to Kilmer's delivery, the specific way he says them. He created a character who's both captivating and heartbreaking. Is there a scene or a line from Tombstone that sticks out to you?
That whole scene in the saloon with Johnny Ringo, the tension, the way they're almost playing with each other, but it's deadly serious. It's just brilliant. And also, in 1993, he has this smaller role in True Romance as Elvis Presley's mentor. It's a short appearance, but he really makes an impact, which again shows his ability to command the screen even when he's not the main focus.
That's a great example of how a good actor can elevate even a smaller role. His Elvis in True Romance adds this surreal, almost mythical element to the film. It shows he doesn't need to be front and center to create a memorable character.
And then 1995, he puts on the cape and cowl, becomes Bruce Wayne Batman in Batman Forever. It looks like you're interested in how he stacks up against other actors who played Batman.
Yeah, taking on Batman, it's a big deal for any actor. Kilmer brought his own spin to the role. Maybe a more world-weary Bruce Wayne really struggling with his past, even though the film itself was more lighthearted. His performance gave us glimpses of that darkness, that internal conflict. What did you think of his interpretation compared to other actors who've played Batman?
I think he captured that internal struggle really well, the conflict between the public face and the vigilante. And that same year, 1995, he's also part of this incredible ensemble cast in Heat, playing Chris Shaherlis, another example of him blending into this high-caliber group of actors and contributing to this powerful, really realistic crime drama.
Heat is such a great example of ensemble acting. And Kilmer's portrayal of Chris Shaherlis, this intense, kind of detached guy, he was crucial to the film's authenticity. He held his own next to Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, which says a lot about his skill and presence.
So moving into the later part of his career, we see him doing voice work, like in The Prince of Egypt in 1998, where he voiced Moses. It's a totally different side of his talent.
Right.
Using only his voice to convey all that emotion and weight.
Voice acting is really its own skill set. You're relying completely on your voice to bring that character to life, and to lend his voice to someone as iconic as Moses in a major animated film, it speaks to his versatility and the power he has in just his voice alone.
We should also touch on some of his TV roles. You mentioned Comanche Moon, and he voiced Ki-T in the 2008 Knight Rider reboot. And he had appearances in shows like Entourage and Psych. It seems like he's been consistently engaged with all these different ways of telling stories.
It shows a willingness to explore different formats and connect with a wider audience, too. Voicing Ki-T, this beloved character from TV history, that taps into nostalgia. And his appearances in more current shows highlight his ability to adapt.
We definitely can't skip over Top Gun Maverick from 2022. I mean, the fact that Top Gun Maverick and searches like Val Kilmer Top Gun Maverick, even Tom Cruise on Val Kilmer Death, are so prominent. It tells us that his return as Iceman was really significant for you. It's a powerful moment for a lot of viewers.
It was more than a cameo. It was this really moving continuation of Iceman's story. And considering the health challenges he's gone through, his return to that role resonated so deeply with people. It was a testament to how much people connect with him and with that character and with the impact Iceman had on pop culture.
Which kind of naturally leads into some of your other search terms.
Yeah.
Those ones about his health, Val Kilmer health, Val Kilmer cancer, throat cancer, and questions like, is Val Kilmer still alive, Val Kilmer today? And while the information you sent doesn't get into specific medical details, it's understandable that this is something you're curious about. And we can acknowledge that his career has continued even with those challenges. And his appearance in Top Gun Maverick is a really visible and inspiring example of that.
It's definitely important to acknowledge that interest in his well-being and to recognize how he's continued to work despite the obstacles he's faced. His return to Top Gun was a really powerful reminder of his strength.
You also searched for things related to his family, Joanne Wally, Mercedes Kilmer, Jack Kilmer, Val Kilmer children, Val Kilmer daughter, Val Kilmer family. It's natural to be curious about the personal lives of people in the public eye, the people they're close to. And again, while we don't have specifics here, it's a common thing. People are interested in the families of actors.
Yeah, the lives of actors often extend beyond the screen, and it's understandable that people are curious about their families and their personal relationships.
Finally, your search terms included a long list of other movies and roles, like Willow Movie, Top Secret movie, Real Genius, Heat movie, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang Alexander, The Island of Dr. Moreau, The Ghost in the Darkness, The Saint, At First Sight, Red Planet, The Salton Sea, Wonderland, Deja Vu. It really highlights how diverse and prolific his career has been over decades and across genres.
Looking at that list, it's amazing to see the variety of characters he's played. From action heroes to romantic leads, historical figures to more offbeat roles. He's consistently taken on new challenges. He's never let himself be typecast.
And if you want to explore his filmography and TV work in more detail, the information you send over mentions resources like IMDb, Wikipedia, and TV Guide. They'll give you a complete list of everything he's been in.
Those are great resources for anyone who wants to dig deeper into his career and learn more about specific projects and the people involved.
So, as you can see from this deep dive into the information you provided, Val Kilmer has had a truly incredible career, from comedy to drama, voice acting. He's left his mark on film and television. But here's something to think about. When you look at all the different characters he's played, what do you think is the common thread in his most compelling performances? Is this a certain intensity, vulnerability, or something else entirely? Something to consider as you continue to explore his work.
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.